welcome to week 15 of your 6-month GKIS app program. This is your parents only video, and today we're going to talk about screen-free zones. Okay, so remember way back when we finished your connected family agreement? Well, the screen-free zones is an extra supplement for that agreement, and we're going to talk about what you need to know in order to keep your kids safe. Too much screen use and inappropriate content can lead to a whole list of things we don't want to happen to our family. An increased risk of childhood obesity and diabetes, sensitivity to stress, irritability, depression, impulsivity, aggression, attention problems, motor problems, sleep issues. And I suppose there's never been a more poignant time to point this out after the pandemic, when we were all on our screens for school and for work. Many of us fell into this. I know in over 25 years of practice, I've never been so busy, and nor have all my friends who are psychologists and therapists. Everybody was in treatment. It felt like, because if we weren't suffering from crippling anxiety and depression, many people felt like they were languishing from loneliness and just Zoom fatigue. So I'm going to talk to you about one skill or strategy that can help that never to happen again. And that's my quick start staging lesson from the Connected Family course, which you don't need to buy now because you get it on your GKIS app. And for this lesson, I want to talk about screen-free zones. Now, during the pandemic, this was particularly difficult because every member of the family didn't have their own private office, which meant that they had to bring screens into their bedrooms. But we can correct that now and get really smart about our zones. So what I typically recommend is you see a thumbs up with screens in the living room and in your workstations, which are particularly built for kids, which we're going to go over coming up here. And no screen-free zones in intimate spaces or behind closed doors. So no bedrooms or bathrooms. And you'll watch a video from your reading about why intimate spaces is a problem, but also during mealtime and short car rides. I got so much information and communication with my kids while I was, driving them all over town for their activities. I do allow screens in long car rides. It's a lifesaver. But in short car rides, that's a time for good communication and family time. So I encourage you to decide which screen-free zones you're going to have in your family. So why are screen-free zones necessary? Because quiet time helps with mood management, creativity, and problem solving. It protects psychological health, and screen-free zones protect physical safety. Intimate spaces can lead to intimate sharing on screen. When you're, in your bed, your judgment fades just as your awakeness does. So that's why I say nothing in the bedroom or bathroom. And maybe you don't worry about that because your kid's 8 or 9 and you wouldn't think they'd ever do anything wrong. But eventually they will at 11 or 12 or 13 or 14, or sometimes at 8 or 9, and you're the last to know. So remember, way back from the parenting funnel, it's better to start out restrictive and then give them more and more space. So as kids get older and they have homework, etc., by high school, maybe you're going to relax some of those zones, but at least when they're young, you're going to protect them by only having screens in public spaces or at times where it makes sense. Teaching them how to be alone with their thoughts is a true skill. So here's something that is helpful for you to know about mental brownout and sensory overload.
Did you know that some kids get sensory overload from too much screen time? This leads to what looks like a tantrum, but it's really the body's fight or flight system kicking in. Tantrums are usually an emotional plea to get something. Sensory overload is an overwhelming flood to the autonomic nervous system. Kids can usually stop a tantrum on their own, but to calm sensory overload, kids need our help with calm validation. I know you're overwhelmed, and a quiet space to calm down. Prevent screen media overload with Get Kids Internet Safe Strategies. When it's your kids on the line, go to getkidsinternet.safe.com.
Okay, so what that is referring to is maybe you've seen your kid have a complete and utter meltdown after they get off arousing screen activities. I saw this first with my son who was video gaming. I would take him off and he'd just melt down. And I was like, what is this? And he wasn't a kid who typically tantrumed. And that's when I did the deep research for the book and I recognized that he was having what was tantamount to a panic attack. His autonomic nervous system, his fight, flight, freeze, or fold system was hyper aroused because of intense gameplay, and switching gears really quickly can be very difficult for them. So that's why it's important to really pay attention to content and timing and have management over their screen activities. So how can you get started with screen-free zones? Well, first set the rule during a family meeting. Make sure you offer your explanation. Kids accept things far better if it's justified than if it's just, I told you so. And you don't have to keep begging and pleading with your explanation. Just once is sufficient. Don't negotiate. Go slow. You don't have to implement all rules at once. That's why I kind of drip it to you on the GKIS app. Make sure you set a warm and loving tone. Don't get defensive and act like a disciplinarian. This isn't to punish them. This is to make sure they're safe and remind them that these kind of rules are set up to protect their screen time so that it's not taken away for weeks at a time as a punishment. And make sure that when you'll learn from your downloads this week, that when you walk in the room to see your kids, have light up on purpose. Let them see that they are seen, warm up and let them know that they really matter, that they're not invisible, which means not only carving time and taking time off our screens, but letting them show the love that we have for them on our faces and behavior. So next week, we're going to be talking about protecting rejuvenating sleep and staging your bedroom. Real quickly, I want to go over some of the handouts that you're going to get this week. Okay, first is your Connected Family Screen Agreement Addendum. So I write down an introduction, and then you're going to write down your screen-free zones, situations, and times on your agreement. I also offer you a quick video and some readings about screen-free zones, going over kind of what I talked about now, plus some other attachment behaviors and why judgment fails us in intimate spaces. And I also give you a huge gift. I did this particularly because last week was kind of dark and dreary, and I wanted you to have a really special surprise this week. So I gave you over 100 brain and family relationship enriching fun activity ideas that I had created and developed and collected at the very beginning of the pandemic. This could keep you busy for months, if not years. So hopefully these are really great resources that you'll appreciate and love. And then I also offered readings from Screen Time in the Meantime, my book about exercise and non-electronic play, and some more GKIS articles. So this week you have tons of information that you can use and go over. You could use it if you want. You could just store it for later. But I'm hoping that these extra downloads give you lots and lots of value for weeks, months, years coming up. So anyway, stay tuned for week 15, our family video.